Video Part 7, Review by Tables. Reviewing tables. Tables to be included in the final report include interval tables of general, ventricular, supraventricular, ventricular runs, supraventricular runs, pacemaker data, bigeminy, oximetry, and tachycardia and bradycardia data, along with a table listing episodes of significant ST segment change. Oximetry tables appear for only those patients with oximetry data. To review the tables compiled for a patient, click Tables in the Review toolbar. The listing of what tables are available appears at the right of the screen. The displayed table is highlighted in blue. To display a different table instead, click on its name in the list. The tables and their fields include General. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, the low, mean, and higher heart rate calculated during the interval. See Appendix A for details of heart rate calculations. The total number of beats identified and counted in the interval. This excludes periods of artifact. The amount of time analyzed. This also excludes artifact. The total number of SVPBs. The total number of VPBs. The number of pauses, and a field for manually entered rhythm comments. Supraventricular. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, the total number of beats identified and counted in the interval. This excludes periods of artifact, the amount of time analyzed. This also excludes artifact, the total number of SVPBs counted, the number of single SVPBs, the number of SVPB pairs, the number of runs of SVT, the number of SVPBs that occurred in runs, and the number of aberrant SVPBs. Ventricular. Ventricular. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, the total number of beats identified and counted in the interval. This excludes periods of artifact, the amount of time analyzed. This also excludes artifact, the total number of VPBs counted, the number of early VPBs, that is, single VPBs that occurred at least as early as the VPB presetting in scanning criteria, the number of single VPBs, that is, those that did not qualify as early VPBs, the number of VPB pairs, the number of runs of VTAC, the number of VPBs that occurred in runs, and the number of R-on-Ts. See Appendix A for this definition. ST event. This table lists the ST segment events that were detected during the Holter test. Data in this table include the channel in which the event was detected, the time of day at the start of the event, the time of day at the end of the event, the duration of the event, the maximum heart rate calculated during the event, the time of day of the event's maximum deviation from the patient's baseline, the heart rate during the event's maximum deviation from the patient's baseline, the ST segment measurement deviation from the patient's baseline, the ST segment measurements deviation from the isoelectric, the slope of the ST segment event at the point of maximum deviation, and the integral of the event. Paced. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, the total number of beats identified and counted in the interval. This excludes periods of artifact, the amount of time analyzed. This also excludes artifact, the total number of beats counted as paced, the number that were atrial paced only, the number that were ventricular paced only, the number that were paced in both chambers, the number of sense failures, the number of capture failures, the number of occurrences of inappropriate inhibition, and the percentage of paced beats. Supraventricular runs. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, then the number of 3-beat, 4-beat, 5-beat, 6 to 9-beat, and 10+ beat SVPB runs that occurred at a rate equal to or more than the SVT heart rate setting in scanning criteria. It also includes AFib events and AFib time. Ventricular runs. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, then the number of 3-beat, 4-beat, 5-beat, 6 to 9-beat, and 10 plus beat VPB runs that occurred at a rate equal to or more than the VTach heart rate setting in scanning criteria. By Gemini. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, the total number of beats identified and counted in the interval, this excludes periods of artifact, the amount of time analyzed, this also excludes artifact, the total number of VPBs that occurred in Bigemini, the number of 3 VPB episodes of Bigemini, the total number of episodes of Bigemini that included 4 through 9 VPBs, the number of episodes of Bigemini that included 10 through 24 VPBs, and the number of episodes of Bigemini that included 25 or more VPBs. Tachycardia Bradycardia. This is an interval table that lists the time of day at the start of the interval, the total number of beats identified and counted in the interval, this excludes periods of artifact, the amount of time analyzed, this also excludes artifact, the number of beats of bradycardia that occurred as defined by the bradycardia setting in scanning criteria, the amount of time spent in bradycardia, the number of beats of tachycardia that occurred as defined by the tachycardia setting in scanning criteria, and the amount of time spent in tachycardia. Editing table entries. To edit information that appears in the tables, you can either use the Edit or the 0 button. In the interval tables, all but the ST event and oximetry tables, the Edit button opens the interval table Edit window that allows you to change information within the data field for a particular interval. To use the Edit button, first click on a particular interval in a table to highlight it, then click Edit. Within the interval table Edit window, you can click in any data field to type in your changes. Highlight an existing entry and type over it, or click to the right of the entry and backspace to eliminate it and then type your entry. Editable fields appear with data against a white background. Fields that you cannot edit have a blue background. Those fields include the time of day of the start of the interval, the time analyzed, the total number of beats, total paced beats, total VPB count, total VTach runs, total VTach beats, total SVPB count, total SVT runs, total SVT beats, and the VTach and SVT heart rates. The total beat counts are not editable because they are calculated from other field data present in the table. As you make changes to other fields, the total counts change appropriately. To save your changes and exit, click OK. To exit without saving changes, click Cancel. To completely eliminate all information within an interval, use the 0 button, which opens the interval table 0 window. In that window, each data field has an associated checkbox that determines whether to include or exclude the data for the field in the tables. To exclude data for a particular field, click on the checkbox so that a checkmark appears, indicating that the field will contain a 0 in all interval tables. Click again to remove the checkmark. Click on as many data fields as you want zeroed out in the interval tables, then click OK to exit. Click Cancel to exit without saving any changes. Select, Deselect All buttons are available for each section. Use them to turn on or off all data fields within each specified section: general information, ventricular, or supraventricular. Printing tables. To print a display table, click Print to open the print window, then click OK to print. Click Cancel to close the window without printing. Closing the tables window. Click the OK button to close the tables window.